Any,
Slow percentage.
And we had to
Just call him up and Dion representing his.
Finance Committee is now in session. Dion, you want to address the council
Certainly.
or the committee? Hey, man.
This year I only asked for 2 increases in budget with an overall reduction in budget thanks to our insurance.
He's on page 6.
The 2 items that I'm requesting is $2,400 annually for Sprint cards. We are going to be acquiring some Tough Books, and we'd like to modernize the equipment and put in mobile laptops to where we have access to information in the fire trucks, and this would provide 4 Sprint cards for the apparatus at $50 a month per card of unlimited internet. The other thing that I increased was $2,000 on the communication line. We recently had to replace one of our radios that was damaged. They no longer make our radios, and this radio costs $3,000 for a portable radio. So our pagers and personal radios that members have are between $500 and $700 a piece. Those were purchased over 10 years ago by a federal grant. So their life expectancy is slowly dying away, and we're looking at $500 to $700 per unit to replace. So I want to be a little proactive on that. Other than that, the budget remained the same.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Obviously, the decrease by $50,000 is due to the
Insurance.
insurance that we found out we could get cheaper.
Right.
Well, the
Definitely helps out.
we don't, the insurance that we're battling, we don't furnish any insurance for the chief or anybody.
Yeah, this is that,
We're gonna try to get it for council this year, right?
I would love to.
Just kidding, just kidding, okay. All right, do y'all have anything y'all wanna talk to chief about?
So, I mean, you're requesting, besides that, that's it?
Yep, increase of, what was it, $4,400?
All right, what are we doing about the air packs? Are we putting money aside?
It's supposed to be set.
coming this year. And it's every year we put $140,000 in capital projects aside. Just as a matter of, that's what we budget. This coming year, we're gonna start putting 140. The 140 this current year was supposed to be for Dan's generator control panel or whatever we call it. And then we had to have 125 today. We talked a little bit about this morning. This coming fiscal year, we'll just leave it at 140 and we'll set aside for that.
That is a question that we asked the other day. Since it was, we put 140 aside this year,
We're in the process of it.
so do we have to put in the budget that it's gonna cost 240 or whatever?
For
Cause she,
Dan's sake?
yeah, cause she was showing it only 125 or something, I think.
If we're gonna do the work in this current fiscal year, we need to show a transfer from 140, which would be capital fund, and then the difference would have to come from a transfer from, or new money, or wherever we use it from. But if you're gonna do the work in this fiscal year, hey man, if you're gonna do the work in this coming fiscal year, then you have to show the expense in this fiscal year. Hopefully, we won't have to show any more than 140 and 125 is 265, and I think we put $20,000 aside already. So hopefully you won't have to put any new money into Dan's project. The 140 this coming fiscal year would be applied to air packs or whatever it is.
How much is the total air pack?
Submarine or.
I was thinking it was a little bit over 200.
Air
That's
packs?
ridiculous, yeah.
Oh, it's 300 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd heard the number 300 is what.
Yeah, well, over
$7,000 an air pack is
Okay,
what
so if
they.
it's so if it's $300,000 and you got 140 set aside, what are you gonna do? Buy half of them this year and half of them next year?
No, we've got 100, the rest of it's supposed to go in this fiscal year, is it not?
we're talking about electric, or are we talking about his
No,
air pack?
his stuff. Or electric, excuse me, I'm calling for the electric. Remember, we had come up with that $27,000 every pay
Right.
period,
Mhm.
and that was gonna pay for the 125,
Right,
correct?
correct.
And the 140,
Mhm.
correct? So hopefully, we will have it all set aside, all but about $20,000 set aside by the 1st of July.
Yes.
Is that correct?
So you're saying the remaining amount goes towards the packs?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we can put it to.
Plus, we need a
But
lot
I don't
more.
think there's gonna be any remaining amount. I think we're actually gonna be a little short. 125 and 140 is 265, and the bids we got back were 285. I think we're gonna be a little shy.
Okay, we'll just have to put it in the budget, a little shy.
Chief, we got how many air packs? I mean, that figures up to be what 43 air packs, roughly? Is what 300,000 divided by 7,000?
We have 27 air packs currently, and this was also to upgrade the
Okay,
mobile system.
gotcha.
So how many air packs do you have? How many do you need?
We have 20, I want to say it's 27 air packs. It's either
Okay.
24 or 27.
Okay,
To be honest, that's probably not even really enough, but I mean,
And at 7,000 and change,
I mean, do you have more than 27 people need them at one time? I mean, or do you get? it's
well,
like
they're
the
on
fire
every
helmet-
apparatus, so to have 24 air packs on scene, every fire truck has to be there,
Okay.
which doesn't
I
happen.
guess my question is, a lot of this is ignorance, because I don't know. So, is it like, a fire helmet that Nash can only use his fire,
Nope.
or everybody, okay,
Yeah, there's an air pack in every seat,
okay, all right, I got you.
so,
And very rarely are you gonna,
and then of course you've got
Usually
spare
more than that.
bottles and stuff
Right.
that you'll change out.
okay, all right.
and
How
then we
about-
also have the fire truck that's gonna be shooting around 2021, I
Okay,
think is
that's
what we
that was my
capital.
next question. What's the next big piece of
That-
equipment?
That would be the next one. I'm hoping to do a FEMA grant, but I still think there's either a 5 or 10% match on a
Well, I
grant.
could care less about
I'd
that.
say that's a whole lot better
I
than
mean-
$500,000.
So, I mean, what piece of equipment are you talking
An
about?
engine,
An engine.
3 would be replaced.
1988.
Similar to the one we got a grant for, or a bigger full
Similar
size?
to the one we have a grant for.
That's a nifty piece of equipment. Is that the up in, is that what the engine of the future is gonna be look like?
The, regretfully, they're all changing. Probably, the newer engine will look almost like the one that we're replacing now, engine 3, but it's gonna have an enclosed cab.
So if you didn't get a grant, what are we looking at?
$500,000.
All right, and how many years to come up with it?
I think we shot
The engine
2020.
number 3 is scheduled for 2020,
2020.
and 550,000 is what's in the capital improvement plan.
Okay,
The-
Not
the-
money.
The one thing I ask when we do apply for a FEMA grant, that we get a professional
Correct.
FEMA grant writer to write our grant.
It's sad when counties like Loudoun County get $3 million worth of grants and we were turned down for zero. I mean, we got nothing.
100 some odd thousand, I think we applied for.
yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But, so just because you got it on that capital improvement plan, that don't mean a hill of beans if you don't put it in the budget.
Correct. It don't mean diddly squat.
So if you're talking about, I mean, so what, we're working on 17-18 budget. Are you talking about 19-20 budget, or are you talking about 20-21 budget?
Of course, I'd say 2021 budget. Dion probably saying 1920 budget, but
I mean, the process takes, it took a couple years for us to spec the tanker.
Wow.
It's just a lengthy process just to figure out, get vendors, figure out what you want. You start early and work the game.
So, best case scenario is 3 years from now, we're gonna have to have $500,000 somewhere for a new tanker.
I'll read this real quick to you. This is what was submitted by Dion, and Jennifer just compiled them and put them in by department and all that kind of stuff. She didn't modify them at all. We haven't modified them. It says, funding request is 2020, replacement of engine number 3, the replacement of a 1985 Ford Grumman pumper. Replacement of the pumper will hopefully be funded by a FEMA ATL, and I'm not sure what ATL stands for.
8 localities.
Aid to localities grant, but we need to be prepared for replacement if a grant is not obtained. The pumper, although a second response piece, will become first response to all fires within our response area once replaced. Currently, this vehicle is second in line due to it being an open cab, placing firefighters in harm. harm's way if an accident occurs with climate control. Project costs $550,000. Project, or projected funding source, current revenue / FEMA ATF.
So what we should be prepared for is three options in my mind. Help me here if I'm wrong. Number one would be that you get the grant and we can find the 5%. Okay, which would be, what is that, $25,000? I mean, okay. Number two is that we start putting some money aside for the 550, or we go out and borrow 550. Okay. Do you know of any other alternatives?
Well, I know he's gonna hate me hearing it, saying it, but didn't we start recovery costs simply to help aid this?
Correct.
And hopefully by then, what do we have after
Airpacks,
1 year that obviously we're not,
We're at 18.4.
so maybe that, I mean,
18,000.
3 years from now, that will at least cover our FEMA part maybe. I mean,
Oh, I'm not worried about the FEMA part.
Yeah.
The FEMA part is not gonna keep me up at night. If you don't get the grant and you gotta have the
That's-
truck, that's gonna keep me up at night. If you
How
don't do
certain
something
would
about it
you-
this year,
I would almost be very certain that we'd get it just because of the age of the vehicle.
okay,
and
so if
it's
you don't
an
get it,
open
you don't
cab.
get it. How's that? Is that what you want me to budget? If you don't get the grant, you don't get the truck? I mean, do you see the
Right, but
position
we
I'm
still-
in? I mean,
certainly.
I don't know how in the world we can raise $550,000 in 3 years. I know we can't raise $550,000 in 1 year.
I think we gotta look at priority. I mean, air packs, obviously, we need to get out of the way first and be done, and then I think we move on. So right now, I wouldn't even think about the truck,
Fine.
except for the process of starting whatever we need to do with FEMA,
And
whenever that be. I mean,
it would probably be 2019 or 2020 that we would apply for the FEMA grant, because that could take up to 6 to 8 months for award.
Okay.
And then after that, you still have to,
I mean, wouldn't you say packs are priority?
oh, yes,
So how
certainly.
much do we need to stick into this budget to take care of the air packs?
Excuse me, I want to put that attention.
It's okay. It's okay. How much do we need to stick in this budget to take care of what you're coming up short up on the air packs to be
What I
safe?
would do is earmark that $25,000 that we get from the county for apparatus replacement, and I would earmark that specific to,
Is that agreeable?
now, that's $25,000, that's a long way from
Oh, yeah.
$550,000.
But is that 25,000 already in the budget somewhere?
We have- Yeah, it's annual.
It's
We
in
have-
the revenue.
Annual, we get it no matter what.
I know, but is that what we've been, all right, so
Well, it
your
goes towards
budget is
truck
157,325 is what you're requesting, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
That
So my-
25,000's in a,
You gotta understand that I don't do this every day, and I think it's wise to ask stupid questions. So I'm asking some stupid questions, you know?
Ultimately, you're gonna have to decide, are we gonna put our money to air pack, or we're gonna put our money to a truck? I mean, we can't
You've
fully
got no
fund
choice.
both.
The air packs are now, and the truck is a little
Yeah.
further down the road.
That's why I would take the 25 and set it aside for the truck and just.
My question is, have we been in the past using the 25 to help pay for this 157?
no, sir.
That's all I wanted to know.
That
Okay, so
25 went strictly
so
into the
I'm
truck
fine
that
with
you
it.
just bought.
You've been using the 25 for other stuff.
The truck that you just bought?
Right.
About 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
ago.
Okay.
we save it up each year.
That's fine, that's what I needed to know. You understand why I asked?
Oh, yeah.
Cause I mean, you can make, we can sit here and pull up, somebody sat in this seat and make revenues look really good. You can do all kind of stunts, okay,
I
but
think
not,
that tanker had 4
not on my
years
watch.
Of $25,000
That's fine.
apparatus money from the county.
So what I'm hearing is we need to we need to go on and put the 25 grand away, and when we get it, and maybe your efforts of the 600 grand they left on the table for the last few, you might get a little bit more, stick that in there and get the air packs out of the way, and then hope and pray we get the grant. If not, then we're gonna have an OS moment.
There is no air pack grant we could go for.
There is. I mean, we could still do a FEMA grant for that, but I'd hate
You don't
to
wanna
put
dilute
others
it
at risk.
and
Okay.
then not get the.
If it
Correct.
were me, what I would try to do, the chief is working on 2 police cars with USDA. USDA just gave us almost a 50-50 grant for that command vehicle.
Right.
I would try to, once we got word back, and it looks like those 2 police cars are gonna happen. Maybe you've heard something since. Once the police cars are resolved, I would start working
I
on
mean, if
USDA grant.
Do we have a source for a professional grant writer?
I would have to do research.
USDA is not that tough. FEMA's tough.
FEMA's
If you
tough.
could knock
USDA
that $300,000 down to 150 of our cost,
That's what I would
that'd
do
be
next.
huge.
Oh, well, then you're on the way to, it's not a disaster about
Yeah.
about the truck.
I would go to USDA. They have been changed. Anytime we've applied for fire or rescue or police, we've got, now, we haven't gotten as much as we wanted sometimes, but we got a $25,000 or $46,000 grant on a garbage truck. They turned us down this year on a garbage
Something's
truck.
better than nothing. I mean,
All right,
I
so
would go to USDA.
let's just do that, okay?
Yeah.
All right, anything else? Okay. Of course I need a chance to look at it, but you haven't alarmed me by anything.
Yeah. No major changes.
I just hate the word apparatus because it means,
Oh, yeah.
big money.
I know. I want to say when we purchased engine 5
I'd rather just call them trucks if you don't mind.
10, 15 years ago, we were supposed to be on a 10-year replacement plan on everything, and that kind of got shot
Yeah.
because of the cost of everything.
Like I said, I wish, and
Right.
I hate to keep bashing our local county, but I mean, our funding is just so poor that it just puts us in a bind up here.
The other thing, I don't know, I just found out that we are covering the whole Fast C project now, minus the ranges. Fort Pickett's gonna cover the ranges. I don't know if talking to the Department of State and saying,
No, whoa. Who told you that? I mean, who's got the authority to tell you that you're gonna have to cover that?
Fort Pickett, we were covering the driving range.
Okay?
And then Fort Pickett says that the land that the rest of Fast C is on was deeded to somebody, the state, and therefore it's not their responsibility.
Well, why does Fort Pickett have a fire department?
Mutual aid.
No, I'm just asking stupid questions. I mean, if Fort Pickett has a fire department, then how come Fast C is not gonna? Why won't they have their own fire department or pony up some money?
That's what it's
Exactly.
saying.
Okay,
We may
so
need to go to them and
sounds
say,
like a
to the
little bit
State
of a
Department
different
and say,
story.
hey.
There's gonna listen. I'm gonna tell you something. This is a busted wheel that we're gonna have to fix. You know, so but it's not the time today. We got 30 more minutes. We got another meeting coming in, and I have some stuff I want to talk to them about. But look, we need to sit down. We need to sit down with you and Philip. Maybe when you get a little bit stronger, and we need to stop kicking this around and pretending that it doesn't exist. But the fact of the matter is that we're getting $25,000 to cover. Look, man, this is just numbers on paper without a fire engine, without all
Right.
air packs. I mean, so my point is, it's 150, 200 grand that the town is supporting. God knows the efforts that you guys make. I have no idea how you stay trained and raise the money you do. I have no idea. I'm clueless. I'm not smart enough for you to even explain it to me. And we're going, 2/3 of the calls we're going to are outside the corporate limits. And I'm sick and tired of the people that live in the corporate limits are paying this amount opposed to everybody in the county has to buy a sticker, okay? You know what I'm saying?
Not arguing one bit.
So we've got, but it's time. But the thing is, it's time. We've been doing a lot of shouting. It's time. It's time to get a big stick in our hand. I'm
Do you
serious.
think the State Department would be open to even thinking about such?
Supposedly
Just
this,
funding?
It just floors me. This comes up. I'm sorry to cut you off, but they came to us and wanted us to cut the tap fees and this, that, and the other, and they write them a check for $4 or $5 million which was three times more than what the land was worth, and you come hand me some garbage now that you've got to tax your staff and apparatuses to, you know what I'm saying?
go out there.
I mean, it's got my blood pressure up. But I can't get into it with you today, but let's all get together and go to the council and say, enough's enough. I mean, let's do our homework, let's do it right. Enough's enough. We've got to go to county and say, we understand what the state code is. Towns can do their thing and counties can do theirs. But this town can't do this anymore. And and honestly, Dion, we're to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the budget hearing and requested them to start setting aside 1.2 million for a new aerial device if we're gonna have multi-story hotels out here.
Right,
And, you know, it blew right over their head.
right,
So
right.
it's,
That's what I'm
Well, we do,
saying.
I mean, we do have something to argue with now, the fact that our area is going to enlarge
correct.
with Fast C, so hopefully, I mean, and I think maybe the State Department would be willing to.
The
just
State
talk.
Department was supposedly gonna give Fort Pickett Fire and Rescue money, but there was no accounting stream to get State Department
we can
money
make
to,
one.
correct.
We can make it.
Yeah, we can find a stream, man, no problem. Okay.
We'll take it in.
All right, let's,
Her pocket.
I do have, we need to move on, but listen, let us get this budget in a little bit more refined, where we can kinda take a deep breath, and then we'll call a finance committee meeting, or fire and water, one or the other, I'll sit on both. And we've got to stop belly aching, and we've got to give them hard numbers. And then it's time for us to rally the town citizens that are getting double dipped. It's time to do what we gotta do.
It's time for free ride stop.
It's got to, but we can't keep crying about it, you know, and we're well-abled people. We just need to do the work. But let's get this budget out
Well, I
there.
need support because me going up there, they're not listening
Well-
to just me.
I'm telling you, well, that's the problem. That's the problem. And that's what I'm saying. And it's time that we had at least a bare minimum of the 8 of us and staff go to a meeting with you and stand behind you, or invite them to go to Slaws for dinner. But
Right.
the point is this is not sustainable, okay?
Not at all.
It's not even beyond, it just won't work, okay? But let's get through the budget. Thank you so much. All right. Andre, did you want some time with the committee?
I don't have anything on me.
I wanna know why you went down 200,000.
I have to plug in, I left out, I don't know what to put in for water tank maintenance. That was budgeted currently at $60,000. I didn't plug in anything for that. And 40?
No, he asked what page.
And then I also didn't plug in a utilities figure, and of course, their overall salaries and everything.
If I may interrupt very quickly, just before I left on my last day of work for the month, I had a meeting with the folks from Fast C about tap fees. And they met with us shortly after council said, no, you're gonna pay these things. So they brought the whole series of engineers and architects and everybody came in. And Andre and I met with them, and we sat down with them and said, guys,
I think, what night?
you may have been.
Was I was in that meeting. Abby Lowe, wait a minute now. It was the two big hitters with me, and then I left and y'all met with the engineers, right? Isn't that what it was?
I don't remember the whole series, but they brought in like 6, 7
They
people.
brought all the big guns and you invited me
And we
Right.
sat down, and I said, guys,
to have a little love fest, and then I went out the door, right? Okay, I remember.
so this is, I don't know, 2 weeks before I got sick. And we sat down with them and said, all along, we've told you, you're putting in too big a tap, okay? They had 8-inch and 6-inch taps for the cistern to hold the water for the track and all that kind. Guys, do y'all need these big taps? Because they're like $40,000 for a 4-inch tap. It's $128,000. Hopefully I'm quoting you the correct,
Yeah.
but it's
We get the point.
exponentially way much bigger. They had a 2-inch tap going to a yard hydrant.
Yeah.
3/4 inch. Yeah, I mean, that's like a garden or a fire hose, 2-inch tap, right?
Yeah.
And I said, guys, you need to seriously look at these things and evaluate and make sure, because this is costing you $100-some thousand to do it. Well, they came back, and I'll give the council, as soon as I get back, I'll deliver to council. They've come back and they've reduced the size of all the taps.
You don't need to come back to us.
Huh?
You don't need to come back to us.
Okay.
So are they still?
I mean,
asking-
sir,
they're not
what,
asking-
no,
So
huh?
they're not
They
asking
don't
for
know
a
what to do.
reduced.
So the point is if they've reduced their tap size, you're not asking for an
If
exception.
you solved it before the
You don't-
budget, you don't have to worry about it.
Really, if you're in compliance with our tap fees, then you're in compliance. Why would you have to come back?
And Andre will have the list, so when they start installing stuff, instead of an 8-inch tap, it's gonna be a 4-inch tap, and the beauty of it is, I know we're losing some money here, we don't have to maintain an 8-inch tap. And the maintenance of an 8-inch tap long-term, over the next 20 years, if that thing goes bad, you've got $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to buy a new tap. And so, it may be more than that, and I may be using a bad number, but
No, No,
don't
you've made your
want big
point.
stuff.
You've made your point. You've done it well.
We get less maintenance over the next 25, 30 years or whatever it is, and they don't have to pay us $150,000.
I will say something, that I do remember from that meeting. You know, you will hear me gripe that they got $7,000 an acre.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was like, why? And believe it or not, it's just like, and I heard this, I'll back up a step. If Taco Bell comes into Blackstone and they buy a 1.6 acre lot, then they're almost obligated to pay $341,712 for it. They were almost obligated to offer $7,133 an acre, even though the county may have taken $3,000 an acre. Okay, so a lot of that, but nevertheless, they've got the check over there, and then we're sitting here trying to figure out how we're going to pay for 12 to 20%
Insurance.
insurance. So, but anyway, if anything else, we got 20 minutes, and that I want to talk to the committee about.
We're pretty good. I mean, everything as far as the wastewater and water that we've done, was a couple of wastewater treatment plant project funds, so.
They said something to me about those turbidity valves and stuff.
Meters.
Yeah, we need to just go and get them fixed.
Oh, we gonna get a bit of fixed?
We put them in the budget.
Okay.
I do have a question under your
We've already
water
ordered-
sewer department. Your
Right.
wages are down 70,000.
Yeah. This came in the last.
They're losing a couple of heavy hitters and replacing them.
Carlton left
Okay.
and Hugh left from
Gotcha.
last year.
Okay.
Kind of like
So
the
that's
police
your
department
70
with
grand.
Clyde and Larry. So.
I mean, they've been replaced though.
Right, at entry
But a
level
little, yeah, okay.
positions, yeah.
I guess you can allow a little less than what we normally have every year, but I went back the last 2-3 years and noticed that we did not even come close to using that amount of money, so it's gonna be keeping that same level if we're not using that every 3 years.
That ain't a government gap.
Yeah, I was about to say. I like hearing that.
Wow.
Well,
And like I said, there's a few on here I need to get with Philip, I didn't know.
but you don't need the committee.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to turn your attention to the meeting that we had, the regularly scheduled meeting. We had the public hearing about the East End Community Improvement Project. You got the proposed budget that we had at the council meeting and
You don't have the right one.
we got 679, 113.46 would be the town, no, the non-CDBG budget.
It's gone down from what was in the packet.
The town's contribution stays approximately the same, so what Yvonne gave me does not have any drainage improvement.
Drainage improvement's $91,000.
That's not a good number. That's not a good sheet. The good sheet is the one that Yvonne had.
Okay, well,
Is that right?
look,
That's what we had.
I tell you what I need to know. I need to know how much money that we got to come up with. That's what I need to know.
$676,000.
Okay, well, that's what we got right there.
If we get the,
679.
if we get the grant. If we do not get the grant, we need to come up with 676 plus 443.
Yeah,
Well, if you don't get the grant, it ain't happening.
You gotta replace some water lines. You can hold off on the sewer, perhaps. But you gotta replace that water line. That water line is carbunkled. It is bad news.
okay. So the thing to do is, I would say right now in this budget, that we go ahead and figure $700,000 we're gonna have to come up with.
No, not in 1 year. It's gonna be 3 years.
I know that, but we need to go and raise rates now.
Huh?
We need to raise rates now and stick the money in the
That's the
bank.
reason I was asking the question I raised. We set that because we anticipated this loan we took out to do the sewer upgrades we did. And we raised the rates early and escrowed those fees to apply to the time that we wouldn't have had the money, but we did have it. If we're looking at this kind of money, it's imperative that we raise these sewer rates now and start accumulating money to lessen the overall effect on everybody.
But keep in mind a couple things. If we take a $667,000 and we amortize it over 20 years, you got a calculator? Divide 667 by 20. And that's a typical amortization schedule.
33 43.35. I mean,
That's a year, okay? So we assume we make 2 payments a year, right?
yeah.
Now,
So
see,
you're making $16,000 a year.
in
I'll pay my
2019, you're retiring a bunch of utility debt. Okay? You're retiring about $70,000 of utility debt a year. Your last payment is in May of 19, I think, about the same time that the medical center will be paid off. So if we sit back and we say, we're gonna set aside $30,000 a year, and I'm trying to avoid a rate increase. But what we can do is, we can, for the next couple of years, set aside. If we need to borrow the money, we can go ahead and borrow the money. Hey. If we need to borrow the money, we can borrow the money, but you're gonna have the money in 3 years to pay off the debt, if you wanna do that, instead of raising the rate. If you wanna do that. There is an alternative to raising rates on this particular matter.
Except, the only thing I'm saying is that we always figure out the what if, everything
I
works.
get it. But I'm trying
Let me
to avoid the rates.
Wait a minute, I wanna make sure I got this straight. So, we just sit back and wait until we find out so you're gonna have to come up with either 676 or over $1 million, one or the other. One or the other, there's no zero.
No, there ain't no zero.
Okay, there's no zero,
At
okay.
the minimum.
All right,
You gotta buy the water.
all right,
You
so,
gotta replace that water.
so what I'm hearing you say is, don't worry about it now, because just let me finish and tell me if I'm wrong. 3 years from now, you're gonna retire $70,000 worth of debt, or whatever the number is, it's irrelevant, okay? Then we'll borrow the money, okay? Then you'll borrow the $1 million or whatever you need.
Then you'll know whether you need to borrow 400,000, 600,000, or how much you need to borrow.
My point is you know you're gonna borrow some money.
At a minimum, $443,000. At a minimum.
600. You told me 676.
No, because if we don't get this grant, the water is imperative.
Okay.
The sewer is a pain in the butt for him.
If
He
it's
hangs up his
terracotta,
sewer
if terracotta, it's unbelievable that we're not. If it's terracotta over there, is there really any doubt we don't need to go and do that too?
Yeah, you need to do it.
So you're
Okay.
saying if we don't get the grant, we need to come up with water and sewer improvement money, right?
At a minimum, the water, preferably the water and
So
sewer.
water would be
443.
443.
Maybe a little bit more because I think there was a
457.
Since I've been sitting in this chair, I've never seen anything go down. So what I'm trying to say is, if it's $600,000 to fix the sewer today, I can promise you in 3 years from now, it's not going to be 500.
No,
It's going to be 700.
you're right.
So, if you're talking terracotta, I trust you.
It's brick and terracotta. It's
I
terrible.
trust you if you say the water line is the priority. I trust you. You don't need to sell me. It's done. But I can tell you right now, I know something about sewer, and I know when you're talking about terracotta, that means replace. That if you look in the dictionary, that's what it should say: terracotta, replace.
And brick manholes on top of that.
Okay. So I'm just telling you that one of the reasons that we got in the jam we did, I don't want a consent order. Is to go ahead now get a jump on it. Because
Well, that's what
I'm
I was-
forecasting the Fed to raise rates 3 times between now and a year from now. And one of those 3 times, I bet they're gonna raise a half point. So money's gonna be 1% or 1.25% more in a year. I bet your money's gonna be 2 or 2.5% more 3 years from now.
So
the open market.
if we were
On the open market.
to go through this right now and get the grant, when are they looking at us needing to fork up our $679,000? So what I hear
What I
from
would do is
you,
hold. I would start working on houses. See, we wouldn't get authorization that we got the money until this fall. Thanksgiving is when we'll probably know
No.
we've got the grant, know we're getting the paperwork done, know we're getting everything moving forward. We wouldn't see houses start until after the first of the year.
so what I'm hearing from you is the fact that don't freak out like we did last in the council meeting when all of us go, holy cow, we got to come up with $700,000.
Well, when I was told by Sam Carroll it was 440, so I called council people. I
Yeah.
called you, and you, all you got 440. All right, and then The next day I called Jennifer, oh, yeah, something happened, I'm not sure, it was whoa,
Yeah.
what happened? So,
I think all
what
of
it
us
was
were
is
kind of like,
the rehab money, or that top section, that administrative money, was not included in there. I told y'all 440
it's
on the
crazy
phone.
though, that $100,000.
Now, you wanna see some inflated numbers?
Yeah, they're the ones that inflated.
Look at the survey plat legal for the water line.
Oh, yeah,
What's the number?
$13,000.
You know how much it costs us to get a bunch of surveys? Especially in a grant project? You know how much we paid on Nottaway Avenue for surveys? Probably $1,500. You know how much we paid for the legal? None, I did.
So does
I
that?
recorded them.
So since they're inflated, what does that mean? That our cost is going to reduce, or
If it's on our line, on town side, it'll reduce. If it's on their side,
it's on there, son?
we'll put the money on something else. It'll go into the water.
Listen,
line.
I'm not one for raising fees,
I'm not.
but you're telling me that we're gonna be obligated for a minimum of $500,000, okay? Why wouldn't you go ahead, instead of jacking the rates up, jacking the rates up $8 a person 3 years from now, won't you go and at least go $3?
Until we get that debt service paid off, or that debt
Okay.
paid off in
He's saying
19.
He's going to use that money that's already in there
Right.
and just use it.
And we'll just roll the dice at the rates on
What is
5%.
that? What is that debt service for? You said?
It's an old 19.
Is it for a water project?
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
water
so-
project.
Okay. Now, if it were for the medical center,
No, it's
I'd,
different.
I'd kind of feel different.
It's
But
an old
since
water
it's
and
a
sewer
water-
project that is paid off in 2019. I think the last payment is either April or May 2019.
Well, I feel
And the medical center is paid off virtually the exact same time.
I don't want to use that for
No,
a
no, no,
water
not for
project.
water.
No, if anything, just bank that.
But remember, medical
Armor.
center,
Yeah.
yeah, but remember, the medical center is general fund, so you're probably right not doing that. And the medical center, their monthly payments are more than enough to
Yeah,
make
it's
the
paying
payment.
that.
Now, I think their payment's gonna go down once the debt service paid off, but we'll still get rent
Yeah.
of some sort,
correct.
whether it's 10,000, 12,000, not the 20-some thousand dollars.
I'm gonna finish what I was trying to start.
I'm sorry, I'm finished now, so please do.
If anything, the thing we're going through with this air pack ought to have taught us a damn good lesson.
What?
We are hard-headed, we won't listen to ourselves. If we know that we've got sewer work to do, pipe work to do, and stuff to do over there. We do know that the cost of borrowing money is gonna increase, not decrease. We do know that the price of everything you buy is gonna be higher. Why the living devil can't we learn from our past hard-headedness and not say, the one good thing we did on this sewer thing is we started escrowing the money ahead of time. Now, I know people don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like to pay the money on my bills either,
I'm listening.
but you soften the impact on everybody when you do it, and you make it more tolerable when it happens. You know it's gonna happen,
Finance
You-
committee, so.
you may not say exactly how much it is, maybe you can't lay an exact figure on it, but you know it's gonna be there. And we are sitting there and we're saying, well, we don't have to face it now, we can face it 3 years from now, and I say that's a mistake.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact. All right, if we do that now and start escrowing, then in 3 years we need to reduce the rates. Then, if that's going to be the case.
No,
In
my
3
my
years, there'd be
idea,
something else.
my idea is we'll just talk round numbers, and I have no idea. I don't want to scare anybody, so I'll use small numbers. Okay, my idea is to raise your sewer bill 2 cents. Okay, today, well, in this budget. All right.
2 cents per what?
No, I'm just listening to him.
Oh, okay.
All right. Instead, all right, and then when we borrow the money, we need to increase it to 4 cents. Okay. Instead of having to do 8 cents when we do the project.
Yeah, but I mean, you're
that's
hearing the town manager say automatically we don't need to do that.
okay.
I mean, he's saying that we're getting ready to retire debt service, that in lieu is going to pay you. Yeah, we're
Well,
going.
that's it. But that's like saying that there are not 40 other projects out there that need the money that the retirement of these debt services are gonna
Well,
provide.
50 years ago, there should have been 12 or 15% baked into the rates that was stuck aside.
The only reason
And then, well, let me, hold on, and then, you know, like, $1 million project comes up, you got,
Got
that, it's sitting there. And
because we
so-
just raised it, how much?
I know, but we said here, when I first got on, the first budget we did, we said we don't wanna end up like Crew, where your minimum sewer bill's $80.
Yeah.
And if we don't, that's what I'm trying to say. If y'all wanna just keep borrowing money every time we need to fix something, then that's where we're gonna end up. And then one day you're gonna have $100 sewer bill here in town, and a $100,000 house in Blackstone is gonna be worth $75,000. Go outside town and be worth 110. And the reason is because you're not sitting here having to pay exorbitant water and sewer rates, where you can just you put a septic tank and a well in for what, $7,000-8,000? You're done. That's my fear. That's what I fear. What I can't understand is why somebody hadn't baked in depreciation years and years and years ago. I can't understand why we're having this conversation, to be honest with you. The money should be sitting there. It's like we do with the fire truck and his air packs. What's the difference? I mean, we talked about, you know, how did he pay for the fire truck? He put money aside before.
And that's what depreciation is.
It's no different, but it's like a nasty word. That's fine. That's fine.
I've
I'm
been
just
yelling
one of
this
seven.
For 5 years.
But I'm just saying, if we don't, one of these days it's going to catch up to us, where you can overcome it. You know, you just cannot overcome it, and you got, you know. I'm telling you right now, man. It might sound well and good. You got $1 million in reserve in the municipal world. Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing.
I'm gonna talk real quick, if I can.
You got 6 minutes.
Water and Sewer Reserve Fund. Water and Sewer Reserve, as you know, for the most part, goes paid in debt service. We get that monstrous August payment that just rolls over us like and a couple times we've had to take it out of the reserve fund. We did not last year, we did the year before. It took us damn near a year to get caught up.
Dropped us
Okay?
down to what? Almost 500,000 almost.
At 600,000, about 600. So if you look at where our snapshot picture today, we've got $1 million in the general fund reserve, not committed to anything. No commitment, okay? If you look at our VDOT
When
line,
was the last time you put something in there? The undesignated.
December 2nd, 2016. We put in enough to level that off. We stopped at $1 million, okay? But we've been doing other things now. We've been putting money aside in other places. What we have been doing, and this is something that is 100% or 180 degree different from where we've been taking all of our VDOT money. Remember, we get 4 VDOT payments of $266,000 each. We used to put that in the general fund and buy police cars. We used to buy sewer jetters. We used to buy playground equipment, whatever it was. Now, every penny of VDOT, because of this one, that's VDOT money that's supposed to go on the roads. We got $725,000 sitting in there today. But David's got pavers in today. Nottaway Avenue comes out of that.
What's going on in Pickett Court?
Paving. If you hadn't been down Pickett Court,
Oh, I know she needed it. There ain't no question about it. I'm just asking.
and we're trying to get ahead of, the patching is the first thing that happened.
Well, I think that's what I've been screaming at you since I've known you, is I want you to use,
VDOT,
you know, I want you to use blue money on blue account and orange money on orange account. I mean, so,
You're
yeah,
right.
but
and this is the one that disciplines
still,
me to do it.
well, good for her. That's what, you know.
I'm trying to train her.
Let's give her your job.
Let's get back on track here before we.
Listen, but the point is, it's the same discussion that we had with Dion, okay? All right, this is an antiquated, old-style way that hasn't worked. When was this town incorporated? In the teens? In the 1880s. 1880s, and we're having to borrow money. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Would be the way to go. You would sit and build in depreciation in your
It's
system.
like, why do you have a tap fee? Okay? To me,
expense.
now, I'm trying, look, I'll tell you something. I've been sitting in this chair for 6 years, okay? I'm still learning every day. All right, but a tap fee to me is, and tell me if I'm wrong, is these other people have been paying rates for the infrastructure. So the tap fee helps infrastructure, right?
And we
All right,
started doing
it's
that.
really depreciation. All right, if it costs, Andre can go out there and put the tap in. You charge them the materials, don't you? You charge them the labor. It's a fee that goes in to help with the maintenance. It's depreciation fee, isn't it? That's all it is, am I right? Why in the world we don't have it baked in the rates? I don't want to raise the rates. I know people in town are suffering, but I don't want to get to the point that they're suffering so bad they don't live here and property values start going down because our tax rates are so crazy. And the only way you're gonna do it is do it gradual. It's like you say, you know, we borrow $2 million and you stretch it out over 20 years. You know, it's $80,000-$90,000 a month, a year, right? Okay.
Manageable.
It's the same thing. It's the identical same thing. Instead of doing that, let's pay it forward. A little of it. I know nobody wants to raise rates, but we've got liabilities that I can tell you you're gonna pay. You see me, look me right in the eye, and you can say love it or leave it. You're gonna replace those water lines over there.
You gotta do it, yeah.
Okay? Well, if that's the case, why are we gonna sit here and wait? You and I know nobody else wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it, but we've got up to $20 million liability out at Fort Pickett. Nobody wants to talk about it. So what are you going to do when we keep putting that off, putting it off? You know, it's the same thing with the fire trucks. We've got to stop putting stuff off. We were elected to come up, to sit up in here and make the tough decisions, you know, instead of trying to make everybody happy that comes to the podium. Oh, I want you to love me. I want you to put me on Facebook. You know, that's not what we were elected for. We were elected to make these tough decisions. And I'm telling you, if there's some of these decisions aren't made directly, that's a Carolina term for right away, you're going to get yourself in the same position you were in when you came here.
There's no difference, Ben, between putting in a water increase right now and putting in the depreciation.
No, it's not.
the same thing.
It's not.
This town, and I know this for a fact, I can't exactly say the date, but William Moncure, who was my uncle and the mayor, told me that we had $6 to $8 million in reserve in the 40s, late 40s.
And that's equivalent to $50 million today.
And we've blown it because we will not sit and finance the way we know we have to. We should, if we're not prepared, and I said, let's start escrowing the money for this 2-3 years ahead of time. That's no different than putting in a completion account.
Hey, here's my thing. Let me butt in on you, because this might make the man in the green shirt perk up. I say you go ahead and you bake in the rates in this budget what you think you got to do. And you know what? When you pay off, if you get to that budget and you pay off those municipal loans, okay, and you don't have anything coming up, and you can't sit here and say, hey, you know what? You got this thing on East Street. You don't fix it. It's going to cost you $440,000. If you don't have anything like that, lower the rates.
Yeah, but that's 3 years
You
from
know.
now. I mean, none of us are guaranteed to be here, so.
Well, I can promise you I ain't going to be here, okay?
Well, but
So,
you can't.
that's a fact.
You got to do the best job you can for while you're here.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
can't say, and make excuses, well, they can't get me because I'm not gonna be here. That's exactly what everybody in front of us is
Why
doing.
don't we try this?
Okay.
Instead of doing the rate increase now, you can do it at any time. When you accept that grant, raise the rate. Raise the rate then.
Let's put a depreciation on that work in the budget right now and not have to worry about it at all.
But
Then
if
you,
you're gonna try to cover 100%,
You're not going to do it all in 1
You
year.
ain't gonna
I
get it
mean,
all.
you're not going to do it in 5 years.
You-
We're chipping away at it. The chairman and Sam both have been doing it year after year, but we got to slowly do it. We
here's
can't.
where we're at on our snapshot. We got $1 million general fund reserve, undesignated. You got $725 for road paving. So that's about spoken for between our share of
So that's,
Highway Avenue.
well, that's
That's
that
what
and a
it's there
quarter
for.
will get you a cup of coffee.
That's what it's there for. You
I
got
mean-
$725 set aside for that, which we used to use every quarter to pay VML, and we used to.
Listen, man. I sat in this chair in 2009, and we were using meter deposits to pay payroll. So you ain't got to tell me.
Is that bad?
We're not
Okay.
doing that anymore.
You know what I'm saying?
You guys had focused, and we knew we wanted to do that, but we are actually putting VDOT and VDOT. Meter deposits go in the water and sewer reserve fund.
then let's take the next step.
Out of town rates as part of that finance plan, those actually go into the reserve fund for sewer. Water and sewer reserves are about $210,000 as of this morning, if I'm correct. About 210. When we get to 285, then we can shut off that valve and move on to something else, okay? Here's the reason why we're short cash. We're short cash because we took on a 12.5% sewer increase, if I'm not mistaken, last year. You guys remember, we put that on. But we didn't start collecting it until November.
I understand
We
it.
only have 6 months of collection, but we still gotta make the payment. in
Listen,
February.
man, I mean this with the highest due respect, okay? But when you sit here and tell me that you've got $250,000 or $300,000 in the water and sewer reserve, that's not accurate. You've got 250,000 or 300, whatever you've got in there, sitting there to make a debt service payment.
Make it
There's a huge difference in having
It'll be
200.
August 1st. You're right. It'll be
So it's money. That's not reserve. It's money spent.
It's money.
And I'm not. I didn't come in here, especially you're recovering and you're doing. To be fine. To be honest with you, you made my day. I can sit here and spar with you. You know what I'm saying?
Feeling a whole lot better.
You are looking better, and you're putting up with me. So I mean, that's making me feel good from a personal note.
Well, I like doing that.
But don't tell me that you've got $300,000 in reserve when you got a $324,000 payment coming up.
That is correct.
Because I'm just old country boy, and that ain't adding up.
Because that money's already spent.
All right.
That money's spoken for.
So when we get to the point that you've got $500,000 in reserve, so when Andre comes walking up in here and he says, "I got 2 busted canoodleizers and a canipulator," you know what I'm saying? And they cost $324,000. What am I going to do? Then we've got options, okay? Instead of, haven't you had enough of what you had in your hand trying to get somebody to bail us out? I have. I've had plenty of it.
Well, there's only one way to.
There ain't but one way to do it, and that's to do it little by little, and that's to put, who wouldn't put, listen, man, I tell you what, is there anybody that is successful financially, that retires, anybody that you know of, that didn't pay themselves first, and that there's some people in town that are retired comfortably? I mean, either through VRS or government, or they invested.
You can pay yourself first.
I mean, you got to pay yourself first, and that's I'm be honest with you. I'm ad nauseum crying about it.
I
But-
hate raising rates.
You know, I hate it too, man. I hate it with a passion. But I tell you what, I do hate. I tell you what, I really hate. I really hate raising rates. Bam! I'd rather do it slow and gradual, and explain to people. You know, just like you did with you were brilliant with the electric rates. You said, "Hey, look, man, I got a whopper coming up here. I got a whopper. I got a 6 or 7% or whatever it was. That's going to be a blow to a lot of people. Let me go on out here and do a 2 or 3% rate increase now and stick the money in the bank."
It did say
And
about
it's
the
you
big-
sold it. You sold it like that. And guess what? You were the biggest hero in the world when you faced that 8% rate, and we raised rates what 3.1%. That's all. What's the difference? So why did you do it then with that electric rate
We
coming?
just did a 12.5% sewer rate.
Well,
Well, but if it had been done,
I don't mind raising rates to get stuff done.
if it had been done earlier in the form of depreciation, depreciation is kind of like inflation, we live with it. But it builds up and it covers our expenses as we go without having to look at Yvonne and say, "Yvonne, your rates are going up 10% right now." Maybe they got to go up right now, but right now it's only a 1/4%.
you know, if gas goes from $2 a gallon to $3.50 a gallon,
They'll
and
cut you that slack.
wait a minute, hear me out, and it takes 18 months to do it, you hardly hear a grumble. You follow me? What people go ballistic is when you filled up yesterday at 202 and it's 248 tomorrow, and the next you follow me? I don't see where it's any different with this. That's
Now,
the
we'll
only-
tell you
only
this,
difference.
looking around town, you know, we raised rates pretty good to do that huge $2.8 million monstrosity or whatever that we had to do on College in Brunswick, and there wasn't a huge amount of fussing. there was not a huge amount of fussing, and the folks on East End paid a rate increase for a better sewer line yonder.
Need and want, or when the need is there, I mean, people were like, okay, well, we can't argue it. But if we were, I mean,
Okay,
people-
that's fine, but you're gonna put yourself in a position that you're gonna get overrun, and you're gonna end up like Crew. I agree with you. Mr. Nash is absolutely right. You come to the people and you say, hey, look, your drinking water's 30 days old. I can't say that that's healthy for you. This needs to be fixed. We gotta do this. You don't have but one water line coming in town. That's a danger. This needs to be fixed. I need $2 million. You never heard a peep out anybody, okay? All right, but the point is when you come up here with 10 of those projects, and you say I gotta go, you've been paying $37 a month for sewer, and now you're gonna pay $150. Then that's when I'm not gonna make those meetings.
County Crew funds its own town. They drive nicer vehicles than we do.
All right, well, I'm not asking to do that. I just want you to be able to, when you have you had that. I forget. I walked by there before I hurt myself. That's part of my track. What's the lady's name? Nicest lady in the world lives behind me she's on Lunenburg. Martha Kane. What was that little leak? Man, it was $90,000, wasn't it? You know what I'm saying?
for the J. Lee fixed right there in the road.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you see what I'm saying? I mean, $100,000 today in the municipal arena is nothing. I mean, if this is for a car, it's 50 cents. If it's for an airplane, it's $100. If it's for a town, it's $10,000. You follow me? That's how it is. I can't help that. But I'm just saying, why in the world? Why don't we at least? I mean, Sam and I are gonna die trying to get people to understand. It's like retirement.
Well,
it's like savings account. It's like everything else.
Until you show a number,
I just
no one
can't-
can, until you show a number, I don't think people are gonna understand. So get a number.
He's got a number.
But the nice thing.
446.
The nice thing about depreciation
Well, I'm
is,
talking about rate increase is what I'm saying.
thing about depreciation is, you raise the money without having to show people numbers that shock them to death.
Right.
It's done, it's done a bit slowly, it's done regular.
Do you know how many
It's part of
people?
your growth.
Do you know how many compliments you got to me for what you did with the electric rates? You wouldn't believe it. I probably get 20 or 25 constituents a month that will see me on the street or call me, okay?
And like the rate.
And that was probably the finest time that I've been on council. That was the smartest thing y'all ever did. If y'all would come out here at the wrong time of year and raise your rates up 8% or whatever, and y'all save that money up and help the town. I heard help the town. I heard service to the town. You follow me? Why haven't we? I'm like saying, when are we going to learn our lesson? I mean, we're way over our time. Anything else before the committee? Any recommendations? Motions?
Insurance.
No, I'm good.
You good?
Thank you.
I want to ask the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. We get crepe myrtles and little trees to plant on the edge of the new lots.
Mhm.
And I understand we couldn't do that now?
No, that's not. No, that was what. Let me explain that. I have no idea. It might be a great time. You got 4 council members here legally to give us some idea. I didn't expect you here today. I mean, are you working part time? You
Talking
go.
about Craig Middleton.
No. Answer my question first, okay, gentlemen. What is your work schedule? Just give me you gonna try to work a little part time? You're available by phone or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally available for my
Oh,
phone, I'm email accessible. And
okay.
I'm gonna try to come in
Okay.
2 days a week.
This was just a purchase order that I didn't deem as an emergency. And the council had agreed that one of us on the finance committee would look at that if she didn't say it was she had a gray area about it being an emergency, she would call me and I said wait till Philip. So there's your man. If I don't know. If he wants to put the crepe myrtles in, that's fine.
No, I was just.
That's the reason I didn't deny it. Okay, that's fine, but
I
he
think
can make
Ben's saying he was only approving emergency
emergency items.
POs and,
Is it the time of year to plant Craig
yeah,
Middleton?
it is.
Well, it didn't, but crepe myrtles didn't cut the emergency code.
Well, the people that buys the cemetery lots, when they want to buy this lot here, we says, no, you cannot, because people put a crepe myrtle there this spring.
They're
They
like,
said, okay. Now they're coming to us and, why did you lie to us? What's the
You
mercy?
didn't lie to him, you tell him we lied to him. Okay,
I'll get rid
I'm
of
not gonna.
you know, no, that's fine, but he's here and he's here, he looks official to me. You know, if you wanna ask him and he approves it, I'm just not gonna prove it, okay, that's all it was.
It wasn't, the wheel didn't squeak loud enough to.
Now,
sign the purchase order.
now, and I'll tell you what I did approve is, I remember that Andre had a busted impact wrench that he uses every day repairing pipes, and she said, he needs this wrench, and I said, where do I sign? But crepe myrtles, you know, that's not, so, any further business to come before the finance committee? Adjourned at 3:12.
You got it, I'm gonna go look at paving and ditches and all that kind of.
Philip,
Good job.
the circus train wrecked in Burkeville a minute ago.
It's always good.
Circus train.
The circus train wrecked in Burkeville a minute ago.
A service train?
The circus
Circus
train.
train.
Ringling.
Barnum
Did it really?
ran into it. It looked like a Tharp truck, and
Let's see here.
Like in Berkeley.
it doesn't say it was on Channel 6. I just got an alert.
Somebody told me they were going to see it,
Burkeville.
that they had tickets to go to the last show.
Horseshoes out there.
Yeah, I went yesterday.
You ever been
It was the
there?
last show.
We'll get
That's
you.
good. Huh?
Thank you.
Where was it headed?
I don't know where the next show was.
Good seeing you, Tuck.
Yeah, glad to see you out.
Yeah. That hospital ain't no place to be.
I can tell you that.
We'll get together. You look good.
Hey, Jennifer,
I was like,
Jennifer,
am I,
Jennifer.
are y'all still meeting?
You're
No,
up.
but account and finance is done, and now we need to call to order the insurance.
Slide back just a little bit. Yeah.
You ready?
This is almost just on
You gotta call it to order.
Oh, okay. Who we waiting for? Okay, everybody here?
I guess this is it.
Okay. We call the insurance committee to order.
Hello,
Let's
I'm
let
back.
her give her presentation.
I brought paper copies for all of y'all to look at some of the information that I had, to review for, the renewal. So when we last met, we reviewed, the medical, dental, vision package increase from the local choice. If we don't make any changes at all, we're looking at a 19.9% increase to the benefits. We did go to market. If you remember, we didn't have any other options from other insurance carriers to move, so we are staying with the local choice. So the next options that we would need to discuss are changing the benefit plans or possibly changing the contributions that you have if you cannot take on that 20% increase. So to the town right now, that would be an additional $85,000 increase over what you're paying today. And then if we make some changes, we can save about another $30,000 depending on which plans we may choose. And then there's potential to save more if we make some contribution changes. So we kind of know what we have. Now it's pulling levers is what is how we kind of equate it. And it just depends on how many levers you want to pull to get to that renewal, to a dollar amount that is accessible, to the town and to your employees and what they would be paying in the upcoming year. So on the front page, what you see is just a summary of the plans that are offered. You'll see the current and the renewal, as well as an option that changes. Instead of having a $500 deductible plan and a $250 deductible plan, we could do a $500 and a $1,000 deductible option. That gets our renewal increase down from 19.9 to 11.3. And then we also have an option where we could introduce that high deductible health plan, that health savings account, where it is a much higher upfront deductible. It's $2,800 for the individual. However, the premiums for that are much lower, and you would be saving enough as the town where you could actually invest some of that money if you wanted to into what's called a health savings account to help your employees save for the future. Actually ties a little bit into the discussion that you were having earlier, kind of paying yourself first, future saving versus putting all of your money towards the insurance
I have a
carrier.
quick question. I see you added this estimated employee out of pocket. What is, that wasn't on the last.
Yeah, so what that does is it just calculates, it's a combination of what they're paying in premium dollars and then what they would be expected to pay just in average usage over the course of the year. So it's not an exact dollar amount, it's just an average when we look at that combination of things. So,
That's not part of the
sorry,
premium, that's not an estimate.
it's the guesstimate of what they would be paying with the change in benefits. So you'll see the renewal, it's no change because the benefits aren't changing, but if you go down to the next section, set of rows, if we made that change to increase the deductibles, we would anticipate them paying an additional $18,000 over the course of the year for benefits just because of that change from the $500 to $1,000 deductible.
But that's not part of the premium, that's other.
Correct. It's just, it's not affecting you or what you're paying or what they're paying for the premiums. It's actually using the plan at the doctor's office or at the hospital.
That's
Yep.
if they go to the doctor, it's
If-
gonna cost them
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
roughly,
I see
yeah.
what you're
Depending on what you get, obviously.
Yes.
probably.
Right, okay,
Yes,
sorry.
and you'll see, no, it's fine. And highlighted in green on that page, that's the, what we call it an estimated out-of-pocket cost over the course of the year. It's not exact, and it's not based on just Blackstone's information. It's an average of information based on the plan that's offered. So when you're going in to use the plan, we would expect, for example, on the $500 deductible option, they would spend about $1,772 over the course of the year for services. So that's prescription drug copays, hospital visits, just what the average is nationally for those things.
That's at what deductible level?
That's at the $500 deductible, and the $250 we would expect about $1,400. So it's not a huge difference between the two plans and out-of-pocket expenses. When we buy down and go to that $1,000 deductible, we would expect it to go up to about $2,100 over the course of the year.
So
And then,
why, I mean,
oh,
if
sorry.
it's that, if it's only a less than a $300 difference, why have people been buying up? I mean,
So that's
they're really not-
psychology.
yeah, they're really not getting that much for their money. I mean,
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you.
you're not getting anything.
People historically see insurance and they see the most expensive option is the best option, so that's what I'm going to pick.
But this, it's not.
And
I mean,
that is, and your enrollment tells us that. You have more people enrolled in the 250 plan than you do the 500
people are
plan.
buying up.
People buy up because that's what I'm supposed to do. And so that extra money they're paying for that coverage,
Would easily cover that. I mean,
yeah.
on average,
You're getting it. That's like the way insurance works. So they're paying for a plan maybe they're not all using. Some of them are.
Yeah.
But for those that aren't, they're paying money to Anthem, to the local choice, and they're never going to get a refund on that money, right? The insurance company never gives you, never gives you a, they never give you a check back in the mail if you don't use the plan for the year. And so that's why in the municipal world, that $250 deductible plan, I mean, that plan still has a copay at the hospital. And in the world of insurance and especially private companies, that's just absolutely unheard of. Now, I get it because you're maybe not, your salaries aren't maybe commensurate
up
with
for it.
what, and so like you're trying to make up for that, but you're not out of line to offer the $500 and the $1,000 deductible plans, and you're actually being a better steward not only of your own money but your employees' money if they're not really utilizing that benefit and it's not really giving them the best bang for their buck. And we would tell you, if you look at, so this tool, the Value Select, our company created it. It's proprietary, patent pending. What's unique about it is that it looks at the benefits and the price for those benefits, and it creates a value score. So are you getting the best bang for your buck? The plan, that 250 plan, is getting a value score of 0.98. So it's 2 points less than that 500 plan. It's 1 point less than the 1,000, but what it tells me is in comparison, you're getting less bang for your buck on that plan.
Yeah, when you talk about, you're talking about a 0.01 percentage change. How big of a, what's your scale range?
Yeah, I mean, generally we see like variations within that 0.90 to 1.1 maybe.
Okay.
So it's not a huge range.
So a 0.01 increase
Isn't
decrease
really-
is really
Yeah.
pretty much status quo almost.
But it's still kind of, people I think are buying the 250 plan because that's what they've always done. And if they've always had the 250 plan, most people, especially in the municipal sector, I work a lot with towns, counties, school systems, they're not going to change unless there's an event in their family. If they're happy with what they've got, they're never going to make a change to the plan designs that they're enrolled in. Especially like on employee only, when you're looking at $45 a month, that may not be a huge, from $0 to $45, and I know I don't have to pay
Yeah, that's right.
anything more than a copay in the hospital, I'll pick that plan. So today, what we also kind of wanted to look at, just so you could see what the contribution differences would be, that's on that second page. And I'll try to orient you so that you can follow along, but in the columns going across, you have current, and then you have option A is the renewal, option B is that first buy down option with the 1,500 plan, and then option C introduces the high deductible health plan if you wanted to offer that with the 500 and 1,000 plan. We've got the enrollment right below that in the rows below it, and then you'll see in green, that's the total dollar amount that the local choice charges for those plans. In blue, that's the employer contribution, that's what you all are paying. So you pay 100% of the employee-only rate of the base plan or the 500 plan today, and then you pay 50% of the dependent amount. And then if someone wants the 250 plan, they pay more for it. So you do have a set dollar amount. I have to work a lot of times with other municipalities